So Eridian is up, and he's going to tell us about his adventures helping set up a distributed validator in Africa.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Let me just get set up for you. So yes, thanks for handing over. So I'm Eridian from today, coming to you from DV Stakers. So DV Stakers, we are a small team. We've got Eridian, Spacesider, Metanol, and Snapcrackle. And who is DV Stakers and what do we do? So DV Stakers, we're an educational initiative around all things DVT with a growing global network of solo stakers and running Ethereum nodes and DVT validators. We'll go into more details about what that means in DVT, but just say we're a small educational community. We, Spacesider and myself, we started in the ETH Staker community, helping people with the ETH Staker knowledge base. And from that, we saw DVT as this growing technology that didn't have a huge amount of educational resources about it, something people we thought would benefit from knowing more about. So we started DV Stakers in ETH Denver this year, and since then have just been testing and growing all the distributed validator technology solutions available. Okay, so this is where we're running right now. We're running validators in America, the UK, in Germany, in Australia, and the presentation to talking about today is Kenya. So why Kenya? Well, I had some family connections and some friends out there that were interested in learning more about Ethereum, and I've been talking to them about staking and DVT. And they wanted to know more, so I spoke to James Snapcrackle from the who works at the EF, but this is in his capacity as a DV Stakers contributor, just an educational contributor. We flew out there and worked with a local community to set this up. So I'm going to talk through with you now how we set that up, the process we went about doing that, and our plans for the future. Okay, so what did it look like? To start with, what did we need? Well, we needed somewhere to put the node. And initially, just to get this as a proof of concept and to get this working, we set it up in a co-working space, an office that is in the center of Nairobi in the central business district, just a small little office, as you can see on the right there. And that was a space where we could set it up and test everything was working. It also meant that because it was a co-working space that we could have our local supporters and contributors use the space and join and help fix things if they go wrong and be part of the DV Stakers Kenya community with that. This is some context around what it is and where it is. So what did we actually set up? Well, the equipment, everything was sourced, everything that could be sourced locally was. So when we arrived, we went and bought all the cables we needed, everything. There's a UPS there to make sure we don't have any interruptions in the power supply. The only things that we brought to Kenya were the nodes themselves, and that's because they were donated by DAppNode and HomeNode. Okay, so what did it look like when we were getting set up? Well, we did some initial testing around how we could get it to work, but it was as simple as just plugging it in and it working. You can see there you've got the two machines. You've got the home node on the left, which is a heatsink machine, and the DAppNode branded machine there on the right. And the laptop is to interface with both of them. The webcam is so that we could display it online and also keep an eye on it when we're not there as well. And on the right, this is us going to some local markets and buying some souvenirs and some things to put around it to make it a bit more Kenya branded. So what does that look like? Well, this is it in the finished state, with the idea being that it doesn't need to be touched very often. This is the point of staking, particularly solo staking. It's not as scary as a lot of people think. It can be left there and just run itself for months and months without needing any physical interaction. And particularly with the UPS, the power supply and the internet being a direct connection, it's been incredibly stable. The internet speed wasn't as high as most people think. We've got 50 megabytes up and down there, and it's able to cope pretty well. So that being said, let's move on. So we got this is what the webcam can see. This is the live view that we have now all the time. Viewing the setup, you can see there you can actually view the screen directly and see how the logs are doing. And if we go on to a more live view, this is what it looks like at any given moment. This is what we're seeing, and that's just the I think the Nethermine logs rolling there. Also, it's quite handy. You can see the flashing lights on the nodes, so you can tell that they're okay just by looking at them with the webcam as an added bonus. So this was a proof of concept, not necessarily to scale this out in this exact way, but to just show that we could set up a full node in Kenya and also run DVT validators. And that's what I'm going to show you now, what is actually running. So that is the hardware side of it, what we did, who we worked with, and how we got it set up. And now I'm going to talk through what's running on the machine and then our future plans for the node. So what's running on the machine? Now, DAppNode is the software that's running. And the main reason for that is that it is free open source software and it is incredibly easy to use. There'd be no point us going out there and setting up some custom configuration or trying to do it just on the command line, and then no one else was able to support it or learn from it. The idea is to make it as simple and as easy as possible, and that's what we have. That's what we have here. So the software itself is DAppNode, but we have the two machines, and home node is something that a guy called Florian is working on. It's building very low cost hardware with really good specs that can run the full chains and everything we see here really well. And there's also a machine and the software provided by DAppNode. And what we've got running here is a full node with on mainnet and testnet running on the same machine. That may not be hugely performant once we get to start running mainnet validators due to like CPU usage and things like that. But for testing right now, it's great to see that we could sync and run both chains comfortably. So we have mainnet running and testnet, and you can see that this is a 2 terabyte disk, and it's able to run both side by side for a while before we have to do any pruning or database reduction there. So what's actually running on the box? Well, we said about DVT. There's the two DVT operators that we're testing at the moment are SSV and OBOL. So this is an example with the SSV operator, the DV Stakers Kenya. You can see there, and all we had to do was on DAppNode and install the SSV package, register the operator with Goerli SSV contract, and it now exists. It is a zero fee operator, as are all the DV Stakers operators on the SSV Goerli testnet, which means that anybody that wants to be part of this or spin up a validator and experience what it's like to validate like globally and know where they are, DV Stakers Kenya is an option for that. Right now, anyone can select that and use it and be validating in Kenya. And it's as performant as we've seen as all the other ones. The latency is not particularly high, and it's really performant and keeping up well with all of the others. You can also see on the list there, we're running on Raspberry Pis. There's the space side of Raspberry Pi just below the Kenya node as well. So we're trying lots of different things at DV Stakers to check everything works and to make it as simple as possible. We've also got here the OBOL versions. This is an OBOL cluster, and this is a DV Stakers cluster that we're testing out with people all over the world. So that map that I showed at the start of where all the different pins are, this is DV Stakers, one of the main OBOL clusters we have running, and one of the operators inside of that cluster, called Smiling Colors in this case, is the Kenya node. And that is as good and as performant again as all the others, and just proving that it can be done and it can work. So that was the OBOL operator. And this is just a shot at the end when we finish setting it up. That's myself and James from the EF at the end. Okay, so that's where we got to, proving it can be done. It's still quite a safe environment because it's a co-working space, an office building with fairly stable power supplies and generators and things like that. So what's next? So rural Kenya. So we started in Nairobi and I spent a few days there, and then I also went out to a rural village, a Maasai village, where a few of my friends live, and spoke to them about what it would take to get this set up in a rural village in Kenya. What it'd be like to have it in their house. So solo staking from home, DVT validation, but in rural Kenya. Now, with this, again, DAppNode and home node fit perfectly with that. We're also working with people on what it's like to have Starlink, to use Starlink for full node validators and other options around that. Maybe not necessarily running full nodes, but just running the validator clients, just running OBOL and SSV potentially as well to try out some other options there. But this is what we're looking at doing as our next steps, to really push it to the extremes and see if it can be done. From what we've seen so far, we don't see any reason why it can't be. There are some limitations around using Starlink and bandwidth and various things, but these are, if it can be done, we want to try it. And if it can't be done, then DV Stakers is going to write up why, and create that educational content either way. So this is the next set's plans. Who's it going to benefit? Now, more than just that single house that I just showed you, which is where the node would be housed. This is a local community. This is a local school with about 83 children here. And this is the staff on the left and the children there on the right. And what this would do is be able to, well, two things. First of all, the income that would be earned from running the validators through various DVT protocols and various like LST protocols and pools would mean that they can earn an income and earn money that would be used for this local community. And also, if the node itself was paying for things like the Starlink internet connection that I showed, that is not just used then for the node, that's able to provide a stable internet connection for the community. And then if you say, well, actually the node also would benefit from stable electricity, which may not be a guarantee, then you talk about getting solar panels and potentially backup generators, which wouldn't just serve that single house, but would also provide amazing resources for that local community as well. So this is actively what we're doing right now and pushing it as far as we can to benefit these local communities and just really make it happen. Okay, and then finally the future plans is to do that and to keep doing that. DV Stakers is just an educational organization, just an initiative, just a group of people that want to see this happen and to push it further. There's lots of places that would benefit from doing this. We don't necessarily have to go out like I did in Kenya and do that. But if we can create the resources, show it's possible, create the documentation and the content to give people the support to do that, then that's what we want to achieve. That's our main goal. We say it's to level the playing field of the Ethereum staking ecosystem, to make it so that it's not just people running mega clusters in AWS with on-call support teams that can provide the best effectiveness, the best uptimes, and get the financial benefits and decentralization benefits of Ethereum staking, but everyone should be able to do that. And that is what we're pushing, the reality of it, decentralizing the beacon chain. Okay, there you go. So that was all the information about the Kenya node and what we've been doing so far. We're on dvstakers.com, and I just put a screenshot of the bottom of the page here where you can see it's be part of our community. And with that, we have a Twitter where you can follow on our updates about how things are going with the Kenya node and our future plans. And we also have a Discord server, which is quite small, but it's a really active little community where we talk about DVT things and what we're working on. We're also going to be heading out to DevConnect in Istanbul. There'll be a few of us there with big DV Stakers t-shirts on, just like this, where we'll be filming some one-on-one interviews with solo stakers, asking them what they think about DVT and what they know about it and how they'd like to get involved in future, and just building up that knowledge, that community, and growing from there. So that's DV Stakers and the Kenya node. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Eridian. I already see some questions, at least in the Zoom chat. So
yeah,
we'll go through this really quickly.
Let me pull that up.
Yeah, so I had some questions. The different like validators or operators rather that are a part of the cluster, how have you guys distributed them across the world?
The actual validators themselves?
Yeah, sorry, like the operators of each cluster. Like is it the map that you showed in the beginning where you have somebody in basically every like major continent?
Yeah, so the idea is that right now, the team we have Methanol, Snapcrackle, myself, and Space Cider, and that's where those pins physically are. They are nodes running in people's houses. So that's just where it's distributed right now. But we have had people join the Discord and say, hey, I want to be part of DV Stakers. Can I run a node? And they are running just their validator clients. And actually, I've got probably about 10 people around the world pointing just their OBOL or their SSV operators just to my machine in my house. So they don't have to have the full hardware requirements of running the chain, but they can still participate in testing the operators. So it's however people want to get involved. But right now, it's just distributed mostly for testing. We're trying to do latency testing and understand how it works. And that's why the distribution's like this.
That's really, really cool. That's awesome. I'm going to read some of the questions from Zoom chat so that the people that are watching on the stream can also get the question. So we had one of the questions, one of the people asking, how is the Raspberry Pi performing?
Yes, the Raspberry Pi is performing really well. It was a bit of a challenge to get it set up, and it doesn't work. It's not super compatible with that node, unfortunately, at the moment, but from a performance perspective, just running the client, because we're not running the full chain. The Raspberry Pi is just running the client, just running the SSV and the OBOL operators, which means it's actually more than enough to run just those, and those are then pointing to full chains that are running elsewhere. And we have a network of full chains that can support that. So the Raspberry Pi is doing really well. It's surprising how well it works. I was really happy with that.
Awesome. The next question was about Starlink. And I'll actually tack on another question onto this. Did you guys figure out if there's any other like viable, let's say, bandwidth alternatives to getting connectivity via Starlink? And if it's only Starlink, what kind of cost would somebody that, like, I don't want to do this in a rural area of a place like Kenya, what kind of cost would they be looking at? And is there sufficient bandwidth to maybe spread this like this cost around across like a village, or maybe you get a couple of Starlinks for like a village?
Yeah, so that's what we've been looking at. I mean, I think I retweeted or something. Starlink said we're now available in Kenya like a month ago. So it was really good timing. I shared it in the DV Stakers Discord. It was perfect. So yes, it's available. The cost, I think it is quite high at the moment, in the hundreds of dollars range. So it's not necessarily like completely viable for this. But as I said, the cost distribution, or being able to share it as part of a local community, like one Starlink in a local village like that, would support would be able to support a lot of different use cases or uses, particularly with the school and different communities there. So right now it's just a proof of concept to show how it works. There are some technical limitations around using Starlink and other issues there that we want to understand. So we just want to try it first and see. So more information to follow. If you follow DV Stakers, we'll update you as soon as we have that.
Got it. Thank you. Super useful. I don't see any more questions in the Zoom chat, so thank you very much. Indeed, really cool project. And I see some people from the Zoom chat have already joined the Discord, and they say that it's buzzing, and like there's a lot of people trying to get more of these DV nodes set up. So that's really cool to see.
That's great. Thank you.